Hi, I'm Rebecca Balcarcel, and I've been reading a poem called The Many Wines by Jalaluddin Rumi. He's an 11th century Sufi poet. He belongs to the mystic wing of Islam. And it's said that when he would spin and find himself in a spiritual ecstasy, that he would talk and say things, and his disciples wrote down what he said, and those became the poems of Jalaluddin Rumi. I'm reading from a book called The Essential Rumi, which is translated by Coleman Barks. And Coleman Barks is a fantastic translator. He's just a hero in the translation world. And I was lucky enough to hear him read his translations in a 3-day lecture series. And I tell you, it was inspiring. He talked about the translation process, how he works with a scholar to figure out the deeper meaning of the poems, and then he tries to put them into English. And his English versions are straightforward, accessible, and retain the spiritual nuance that the original, I'm assuming, has. So I'm very thankful to Coleman Barks. Let's read the poem, The Many Wines. God has given us a dark wine so potent that, drinking it, we leave the two worlds. God has put into the form of hashish a power to deliver the taster from self-consciousness. God has made sleep so that it erases every thought. God made Majnun love Laya so much that just her dog would cause confusion in him. There are thousands of wines that can take over our minds. Don't think all ecstasies are the same. Jesus was lost in his love for God. His donkey was drunk with barley. Drink from the presence of saints, not from those other jars. Every object, every being, is a jar full of delight. Be a connoisseur and taste with caution. Any wine will get you high. Judge like a king and choose the purest, the ones unadulterated with fear or some urgency about what's needed. Drink the wine that moves you as a camel moves when it's been untied and is just ambling about. So this poem is fairly straightforward. It's a list of all the, quote, wines that can distract us from ourselves or distract us from our difficult lives. We are looking for escape so often. And he lists hashish, sleep, love as different ecstasies that you can have, different states that take you away from your normal awareness. But the very first two lines talk about the most potent wine, which is this wine of spiritual ecstasy. It's not a literal wine at all. God has given us a dark wine so potent that drinking it, we leave the two worlds. Now, what are the two worlds? Well, I've been thinking about this. It could be the physical and the astral worlds, leading one then to a causal world, which in some belief systems means that there's this body, and then we have this astral body, and then we even have a third body. And as we leave behind one and then another, we finally reach these higher states. So it could refer to that. I also think about duality, the Buddhist idea of this being a world of opposites where we have light, dark, good, bad, and we are constantly making judgments about, with what category something fits into, and that this kind of spiritual ecstasy moves us beyond those categories, moves us into some realm that's characterized by unity rather than duality. So those are my ideas about the two worlds. I don't know for sure. We go on and he says, don't think all ecstasies are the same. So yes, sleep is a certain kind, love is a certain kind, drugs are a certain kind, but they're not as good as this spiritual ecstasy. And then he talks about Jesus having his love for God that, drove him and made him glow, inspired him. And then you have the drunkenness of his donkey, which just comes from barley, and it's not a spiritual state of consciousness at all. My favorite lines from this poem are, "Every object, every being is a jar full of delight." This actually reminds me of a saying from Yoda from Star Wars when he says, "Luminous beings are we." And I think that luminosity that Yoda is saying, we are these luminous beings, that luminosity is the same as this delight referred to in Rumi. We are a jar full of delight. That joy is what we are, what we're made of, what's inside of us. And that is our true identity. Now, the poet warns us to be a connoisseur, to taste with caution, to judge like a king, and discriminate with good taste, with refined taste, between the lower escapes and the higher escapes. He says, choose the ones that are not mixed and contaminated with fear. Don't take an impure, quote, wine, but a pure form. Drink the wine that moves you as a camel moves when it's been untied. Now, I don't have a camel, and I don't have much experience with camels, but he says that the camel moves about just ambling around freely, going where it wants to when it is untied. And apparently the spiritual ecstasy frees you to just be yourself. He's talking about being untied. We become untied to our worries and our fears, and we're freed when we're in that spiritual state, in that higher consciousness. We can simply amble about and enjoy our lives and be that jar full of delight. Well, I hope you enjoyed this poem, The Many Wines by Rumi, and that you'll go look for some more Rumi, or even check out the book, The Essential Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. Thanks a lot.